You were not placed here to rehearse a life that does not belong to you. You were not born to tiptoe around the opinions of others like a ghost in your own story, asking the world for permission to be what your soul already knows it is. There comes a moment, not just in a lifetime, but in a breath, where you are called to decide not what you do, but who you are, not who you were told to be, not who you were raised to perform as, but who you truly are beneath the roles, the wounds, the projections, and the applause. Decide who you are, not with your mind, but with your being. Decide it in the silence. Decide it in the ache of discontent. Decide it when the noise of the world grows loud and you can't hear yourself think. Because that's when the voice of your spirit finally whispers loud enough for you to feel it, not with your ears, but with your knowing. And once you do, live like it. Live like your soul is not on trial. Live like you are the author, not the echo. Live like you are what you came here to remember, not what the world tried to make you forget. The moment you decide who you are, the world begins to rearrange, because it changes, but because you do. You no longer bend to fit the mold, you melt it. There is no outside permission slip required for you to become yourself. The only permission is the sacred yes you give yourself in the stillness, the yes that feels like coming home. The yes that says, I remember now, I am not this fear. I am not this shame. I am not this endless loop of proving. I am not the mask I wear to survive. I am the presence beneath it all. You see, the moment you decide who you are, life stops happening to you and starts responding through you. The energy of creation flows where alignment is present, and alignment is born the moment your inner truth and outer choices begin to mirror one another like a lake finally still enough to reflect the sky. So I ask you, not gently, but lovingly, what are you waiting for? Another sign? Another wound? Another approval from someone who doesn't even know their own worth? Decide. Decide that you are not here to perform, you are here to embody. Decide that you don't need to beg for crumbs of validation when your soul is already seated at the table of the divine. Decide that you are not the echo of your trauma, but the voice that rises from its ashes. And then live like it. Live like joy is your natural state and not a reward you earn through suffering. Live like peace is not a luxury, but your birthright. Live like you have nothing left to prove, because who you are is not up for negotiation. You see, there is a certain grace that enters the life of someone who has decided. They don't chase, they don't compete. They don't explain their path to those who've never dared to walk their own. They walk with clarity, they walk with peace. They walk with God, not in some distant temple, but in the steady beat of their awakened heart. And maybe that's what you forgot, that the divine does not ask you to earn your worthiness. It simply asks you to remember it. You don't need to perform your way into being enough. You only need to stop pretending that you're not. Because when you know who you are, you stop shrinking for comfort and start expanding for truth. And let me tell you something powerful. When you decide who you are, everything you thought you needed starts to shift. You no longer seek love from those who cannot give it. You no longer wear masks in rooms that drain your spirit. You no longer agree to play roles that betray your essence. You begin to live in harmony with your own frequency, and that, my friend, is where the miracle begins. Because the universe does not respond to who you wish you were. It responds to who you are. And who you are, at your core, is not wounded. It is not small. It is not broken. Who you are is consciousness wrapped in form. You are an idea in the mind of God made flesh. You are light in motion. You are not becoming enough. You are unveiling it. So why then do you doubt? Why do you still hand the pen of your life over to voices that do not know the plot? Why do you allow fear to write your script in invisible ink, so that when you look back, you can't even find the pages you lived through? Take the pen back. Write boldly. Write truthfully. Write with the ink of your own soul. Because there is something sacred about a person who has decided to live in truth. They no longer hustle to be seen, they radiate. They no longer conform, they align. They no longer shrink, they expand. And when they speak, it is not for applause. It is for clarity. It is for resonance. It is because their soul can no longer bear the weight of pretending. That is the call for you now. Decide who you are, not based on what happened to you, but based on what was always true before the world touched you, before the world labeled you, before the world confused you. Because underneath all of that, there is still a river that knows its way back to the ocean. There is still a flame that remembers how to burn. There is still a child in you that never forgot how to believe in magic. That child was never wrong. The world was. You were not wrong to want to dance in your own rhythm. You were not wrong to question the cages they called comfort. You were not wrong to feel that there was something deeper calling you from within the stillness. That voice, that whisper, that ache, that was truth. Now live like it. Live like every breath is a vote for freedom. Live like your yes is sacred and your no is holy. Live like your time is not something to trade for acceptance, but to devote to your becoming. Because when you live from the place of inner decision, you stop reacting and start creating. You stop fearing death and start honoring life. And when people ask, who do you think you are? You will answer, not with defensiveness, but with peace. I am what I decided. I am what I remembered. I am what I've always been, even when I forgot. And I live like it. The moment you decide who you are, you enter a sacred contract, not with the world, but with your soul. And this contract is not written on paper. It is not notarized by society or signed with ink. It is carved into your being like the sunrise carving light into a sleeping sky. It is felt in the marrow of your bones when you finally stop trying to outrun yourself. You don't just decide with your thoughts. You decide with your energy. You decide with the way you breathe when you no longer hold yourself hostage to the expectations of others. You decide with the way you walk away from what once kept you small, and you do not explain why you are not returning. This decision, this sacred inner declaration, doesn't require a celebration. It requires congruence. It calls you to align the way you speak with the way your spirit whispers. It asks that your actions stop apologizing for your essence. And it demands that you stop postponing your joy for some mythical moment when all the pieces fall into place. Because the only piece that was ever missing was you. The real you, the undiluted you, the radiant, whole, soul-infused you that didn't need to become anything to be worthy of everything. You see, we live in a world that sells us mirrors made of lies. It tells us we must earn love, that we must compete to matter, that we must be someone else to be acceptable. But your soul has never bought into that currency. Your soul speaks in a different language. It doesn't shout, it doesn't bargain, it doesn't manipulate, it waits, it watches. And when you finally sit still long enough to listen not with your ears, but with your being, it says, welcome back, I've been here the whole time. That voice within you is not a stranger. It is the truest friend you've ever had. It's the one who doesn't care about your resume, your likes, your accolades, or your failures. It only asks one thing. Will you be loyal to me now? Will you finally be loyal to your essence, even if it makes you misunderstood? Will you be loyal to your peace, even if it makes you walk alone for a while? Will you be loyal to your light, even if the world prefers your shadow? Because when you decide who you are, and I mean truly decide, you will lose many things. You will lose the need to be liked. You will lose the craving for external validation. You will lose the habit of shrinking when you feel too powerful. But you will gain something that can never be taken. The unshakable, unbreakable, unmovable knowing that you are living your life, not someone else's version of it. And from that knowing, freedom blooms. A freedom that is not dependent on circumstances, a freedom that is not a result of control, but a surrender to truth. And in that surrender, you don't become passive, you become powerful. Because you are no longer chasing life, you are creating it. Not from desperation, but from clarity, Not from fear, but from purpose. Not from pain, but from presence. This is not a performance. This is a homecoming. And when you come home to yourself, everything that is not yours begins to fall away. The roles, the stories, the personas, the defenses, all of it begins to dissolve like mist under morning light. And in its place rises something ancient, something real, something infinite. You, the you that never needed fixing, the you that was never truly broken, only buried. You were never here to impress. You were here to express. You were never here to hustle your way into worthiness. You were here to embody the worth that was already breathed into you. And that embodiment begins when you stop waiting and start living like the decision has already been made. So decide again, not tomorrow, not when you're ready, now. Decide that you are not a problem to be solved, but a soul to be honored. Decide that your dreams are not optional. They are sacred assignments written into your very DNA. Decide that your presence is not an accident. It is a deliberate act of creation by a source that knows no error. And once you decide, the next step is clear. Live like it. Live like you have remembered something eternal. Live like you have nothing left to hide, only more light to reveal. Live like your breath is a prayer and your walk is a sermon. Live like your yes shapes worlds and your no creates space for miracles. Because it does. And when you live like that, the world begins to shift. Not because the world is different, but because you are. You begin to magnetize everything that resonates with your frequency. You begin to release everything that doesn't, and you stop fearing loss. Because you understand now what is real cannot be taken, and what is taken was never real. You don't chase, you attract. You don't force, you flow. You don't demand, you declare, because you have already decided, and your decision is now the blueprint of your reality. Even the cells in your body begin to realign when you live in truth. Even your heartbeat becomes a song of remembrance. And in that rhythm, you walk not as a seeker, but as one who is already found. So if you've forgotten who you are, this is your remembering. If you've abandoned your truth for safety, this is your return. If you've dimmed your light to belong, this is your rising. You were never meant to be small enough to fit inside someone else's comfort zone. You were never meant to live a life so quiet that your soul fell asleep in it. You were meant to decide to live awake, to walk boldly into the life that only you can live. You are not late. You are not lost. You are not lacking. You are simply being called right now to remember what you once decided before the world taught you to forget. So remember and live like it. And as we continue down this sacred path of inner declaration, let it be known, the soul does not whisper lightly. When the soul speaks, it is not with urgency, but with eternity. It has waited lifetimes for you to hear. It has waited through your betrayals of self, through your temporary amnesia, through your search for identity in places it could never be found. The soul is not impatient, but it is relentless. It will not compete for your attention with the noise of the world, but it will stay. And that is love, that is truth, that is home. When you decide who you are no longer afraid of shedding. You become a master of releasing, because now you understand nothing real is ever lost. Only illusions fall away. Only masks get discarded. And with every layer you shed, with every old belief you burn at the altar of your becoming, you get lighter, freer, truer. Deciding who you are is not about becoming someone new. It's about becoming someone ancient to you that existed before the world taught you to perform, before the ego taught you to defend, before your pain taught you to doubt. The real youth of soul you is not in need of change. It is in need of liberation. And when you live like that, when you live from that place, something miraculous begins to occur. You stop needing others to mirror your worth. You stop auditioning for love. You were already born from. You stop compromising with mediocrity, not out of arrogance, but because truth has become your new standard. And truth, my friend, is not always comfortable, but it is always healing. It is always freeing. It is always aligning you with the life you came here to live. Not a life of mere survival, but a life of significance, a life of depth, a life where peace is not occasional, it is your constant companion. A life where you stop trying to get ahead and start walking in step with the rhythm of your soul. That rhythm may not match the tempo of society. That rhythm may look like stillness in a world that worships speed. That rhythm may require you to say no to things others call success, to say yes to things that don't make sense to their logic, but make perfect sense to your spirit. Because when you live from your decision, your divine decision, your life becomes a declaration. Not a declaration of defiance, but of alignment. Not rebellion, but remembrance. Not force, but flow. And you will begin to notice you speak differently. You walk into a room and no longer seek to be chosen. You choose yourself silently, fully. You sit across from others and listen, not to respond, but to understand, because you are no longer protecting a false self that needs to prove anything. You create not to impress, but to express, because your joy is no longer conditional on being received. It is self-generating. It is sacred. It is enough. And if you fall out of alignment, as we all do, you will not shame yourself. You will return gently, bravely, without drama, because you know now that coming home to yourself is not a one-time event. It is a daily devotion. You make that decision again, every morning, with every breath. Today, I decide who I am. Today, I walk like it. Today, I speak like it. Today, I rest like it. Today, I love like it. And when the old voices rise, the ones that say, you are not enough, not ready, not deserving, you will not argue with them, you will not battle them. You will simply turn your gaze inward, breathe, and return to the knowing. Because once you've made the decision, you don't need to convince anyone else. You only need to live it. Let your life be the evidence. Let your peace be the proof. Let your presence be the sermon. Let your alignment be the miracle that speaks louder than your words ever could. Because when you decide who you are and live like it, you become unshakable, not because life becomes easy, but because you become rooted, anchored, centered in a self that is no longer defined by the external. You become the calm in the chaos, the light in the fog, the truth in the noise. And that truth, your truth, is what the world needs. Not a version of you polished for approval. Not a diluted self painted for performance. But the raw, radiant, real you. The one that chose to remember, the one that chose to return, the one that chose to decide who they are and to live like it. So now, the question is no longer who are you trying to become? The question is, who have you already decided to be? And what would it look like if you finally, truly, courageously, unapologetically lived like it? And as the sun knows no shame in shining, may you know no shame in becoming. Let the decision settle in your bones, not just as a moment, but as a movement within your being. Because deciding who you are is not about one single thunderous revelation. It is about learning to choose yourself over and over, even when it's quiet, especially when it's quiet, when no one is watching, when nothing grand is happening, when the world has turned its gaze elsewhere. In those unseen moments, when you could shrink or delay or distract you, rise instead, not for them, for you. Because you finally understand that authenticity is not about performance, it's about presence, it's about integrity, it's about being one with your truth, even when your voice shakes, even when the past echoes, even when the old self claws at the door, asking for one more day of your time. But you don't give it, because you've decided to live like love is not something to chase, it's what you are. You've decided to walk like forgiveness isn't weakness, it's liberation. You've decided to create, like your existence is already a masterpiece. And when you do this, you become a lighthouse not by trying to fix others, but by becoming unignorable in your radiance. You don't need to tell people what you're becoming. Your energy tells them. Your presence tells them. Your peace tells them. You become an example, not by being perfect, but by being whole. You see, wholeness does not come from achievement. It comes from alignment. It comes from the radical honesty of saying, this is who I am now, and allowing that to evolve, deepen, and mature without shame. Because the truth is, the real you isn't static. The real you is ever becoming, ever unfolding, ever blooming into greater expressions of love, wisdom, and peace. And that becoming it begins the moment you decide, because in that decision, you stop living from memory and start living from imagination. You stop rehearsing the past and begin sculpting the now. You stop telling the same old stories of pain, rejection, and limitation, and you start speaking new life into your reality. I am whole. I am powerful. I am divine. I am home. And when you say those words, not just with your mouth, but with your spirit, the world responds, the universe leans in, it says, they remember. And in that remembrance, doors open. Paths clear, people align, not because they were waiting, but because you were. And now that you've arrived, the unfolding begins. You see, your decision to live in truth is not just for you. It's for everyone your light will ever touch. Every stranger who crosses your path, every child who watches your example, every soul silently praying for permission to be real. Your authenticity gives others courage to be authentic. Your wholeness gives others permission to heal. Your peace ripples outward in ways you will never fully see, but the impact is real. So don't delay. Don't wait until the pain forces you. Don't wait until the fear fades. Don't wait until the world claps for you. The applause will never be loud enough to quiet your soul if you haven't yet made peace with yourself. Choose peace now. Choose you now. And live like the decision has already been made. Because the truth is, you decided who you are long before this moment. You decided in the silence between breaths. You decided in the ache that would no longer let you lie. You decided in the tears that fell without explanation. You decided in that moment, you said, enough. Enough hiding. Enough shrinking. Enough waiting. And now you're not just ready, you're aligned. So live like it. Speak like it. Walk like it. Create like it. Breathe like it. Because your life is no longer a performance. It is a prayer. And your soul is no longer asleep. It is awake. Fully, radiantly, irreversibly awake. And now, nothing can ever be the same again. Because once you decide who you are and live like it, you become unstoppable. Not because the path is easy, but because you've remembered that you are the path and there is no going back. Only forward, only freedom, only truth. Only now, you are home. Live like it. There's something holy about a life that no longer seeks escape, a life that no longer fantasizes about someday or waits for a better version of itself to begin, a life that opens its eyes to the miracle of this moment, this breath, this know, and says, I'm no longer at war with myself. There is no longer a version of me I am running from or toward. There is only this presence, and in this presence, I am already complete. That's when the real transformation begins. When the decision to live like yourselfully, unapologetically, and joyfully is no longer an idea, but a devotion. A sacred practice of remembering not once, but moment by moment. You wake up, and before the world claims your attention, you place your hand on your heart and whisper, today, I walk with the soul at the front. And your day no longer begins with stress, but with reverence. You look at your reflection, not to criticize or adjust, but to acknowledge the divine being inhabiting your body. You don't see flaws, you see symbols. Your eyes, portals, your scars, maps, Your skin, a temporary home for something eternal, and something inside you softens. You stop living to fix yourself. You start living to express yourself. Not because you are without wounds, but because you are no longer defined by them. Healing, after all, does not mean erasing the pain. It means walking with it gently until it no longer has authority over your identity. And this is what few are ever taught. You do not have to wait to feel perfect before living truthfully. The decision does not require perfection. It requires honesty, radical, naked, compassionate honesty. The kind that says, yes, I've been hurt, but I am not my hurt. Yes, I've made mistakes, but I am not my past. Yes, I've been lost, but I've always been whole underneath. That honesty is the gateway to grace. And grace, once it touches your life, changes the geometry of everything. Suddenly, you are no longer holding the world together with tension. You are holding yourself together with love. You are no longer walking on eggshells through life. You are dancing barefoot on sacred ground. You are no longer censoring your spirit for the comfort of others. You are channeling your truth like water flowing from a higher mountain. That is what it means to live like you've decided who you are. It means the masks fall off, not because you've grown tired, but because you've grown true. It means the silence inside you becomes louder than the noise around you. It means you stop bargaining with your purpose, and instead, finally, you embody it. You become the message, not the messenger trying to convince, but the living, breathing embodiment of what it means to be free. And when others see you, when they feel you, they may not know what has changed, but something in their soul will stir. Something in them will say, this is what it looks like when someone remembers. Because that's what you've done, haven't you? You've remembered. You remember that peace isn't the absence of conflict, it's the presence of clarity. You've remembered that joy isn't the result of outcomes, it's the natural expression of alignment. You've remembered that power isn't dominance over others, it's presence within yourself. And now, with this remembering, you move differently. You don't rush. You don't strive. You walk with the knowing that everything that is yours is moving toward you because you have finally aligned your being with your becoming. This is not Magichette's law. This is not hope, it's vibration. This is not ambition, it's surrender. Because when you surrender to the truth of who you are, your entire life becomes a ripple of liberation. You liberate your mind from old programming. You liberate your emotions from stagnation. You liberate your nervous system from the chronic grip of survival. You exhale the end in that breath, your soul takes the lead. So take another breath now, not as a routine, but as a revolution. Breathe in the knowing, I am already what I was searching for. Breathe out the lie, I am not enough. Breathe in the truth. My being is my becoming. Breathe out the performance. I have nothing to prove. And in this moment, feel what has always been here. Stillness, warmth, knowing, the gentle but undeniable hum of existence saying, you are on time, you are seen, you are not late, you are life expressing itself in one perfect unfolding form. Let that be enough. Let that be more than enough. Because when you truly decide who you are and live like it, you don't just change your life, you change your relationship with life itself. You no longer experience yourself as separate from the world. You realize you are the world, waking up to itself. The river is not apart from the ocean, it is simply on its way home. And so are you. This is what you were born for. To wake up in the middle of the storm and say, I am not the wind, I am the sky. To rise from the ashes and whisper, I was never the fire, I was the flame behind it. To walk through the world, not to escape it, but to illuminate it. And now, in this very breath, the liberation has already begun. Not because anything outside has changed, but because you have, and that is where all transformation begins. From within, there is a quiet power that exists within each of USA Power that when embraced, transforms the very fabric of our lives. It is a power that speaks not through force, but through a subtle yet unwavering clarity. It is the power of setting boundaries, of establishing in our own hearts and in the world around us the sacred space that preserves our peace, our joy, and our truth. Many of us walk through life with a deep sense of disconnection from this power, believing that to love others, we must give endlessly, to surrender ourselves entirely. We have been taught to ignore our own needs, to sacrifice our well-being for the sake of others, and to be endlessly accommodating, even when it costs us our sense of self. But this, my dear friends, is not the path of self-love. This is the path of depletion, of losing touch with the essence of who we are, and of abandoning the very heart of our truth. True love, real love, begins with the deep respect and honor we show to ourselves. And one of the most sacred ways to honor yourself is by establishing boundaries that reflect your worth. Boundaries are not walls to keep others away. They are bridges that connect you to your own heart and soul. They are the language of self-respect, spoken not in words, but in actions, in the choices you make, in the way you move through the world with a quiet confidence that says, I am worthy of peace. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of my own presence. Boundaries are not limitations, nor are they restrictive. On the contrary, they are liberating. They are the invisible lines that allow your soul to expand into its true potential without fear of being overwhelmed, exploited, or diminished. They are the spaces where you find yourself, again, where you remember who you truly are without the noise of the world drowning out your inner voice. Imagine, for a moment, a garden. This garden is your life, your spirit, your essence. It is lush and vibrant, filled with the flowers of your dreams, the fruits of your efforts, and the beauty of your soul. Now imagine that the garden has no fence, no boundary to protect it. It is vulnerable to the elements, to the animals that wander through, to the weeds that seek to overtake it. Without a fence, this garden is open to anything and everything, both the nourishing and the destructive. But when you place a boundary around that gardenia gate, a fence, a wall of love and respect, you are not shutting out the world. You are simply ensuring that only that which nourishes you can enter. You are making space for your soul to grow, free from the encroachments of negativity, fear, and unhealthy influences. Your garden becomes a sanctuary, a place of peace, a place where you can breathe, bloom, and become all that you are meant to be. This is what boundaries do for your life. They create the space for you to exist fully in your truth, without compromise, without apology. Boundaries are the essence of your self-respect. They are the sacred lines that tell the world, this is who I am, and I will no longer accept anything less than my highest good. But to set boundaries, we must first understand something profound about ourselves. We are not here to please everyone. We are not here to be liked by everyone. We are not here to carry the burdens of others at the expense of our own peace. This is not selfishness. This is self-respect. And when we learn to honor ourselves in this way, we begin to realize that we are not only honoring ourselves, but we are also teaching others how to treat us. The most loving thing you can do for yourself is to honor your own needs. If you constantly give without receiving, if you allow others to overstep your boundaries, you are sending a message to the universe that you are not worthy of being treated with the same care and respect you so freely offer to others. You are teaching the world that it is okay to take from you without offering anything in return. And this, my friends, is a disservice to your soul. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about taking control of your own life. They are not about telling others what they can or cannot do, but rather about expressing your needs and making sure that you are not compromising your own well-being for the sake of others. Boundaries are a declaration of self-worth, a deep acknowledgement that you deserve to be treated with dignity, with respect, and with love. And yet, despite the power and importance of boundaries, many of us resist setting them. We fear the discomfort that may arise when we say no to someone, or when we stand up for ourselves in the face of opposition. We fear rejection, judgment, and conflict. We believe that setting boundaries will make us seem rude, selfish, or unkind. But in truth, it is the opposite that is true. When we fail to set boundaries, we are being disrespectful to ourselves. We are dishonoring the divine spark within us, and we are allowing our energy, our time, and our love to be squandered by those who do not value us. The fear of setting boundaries often comes from a deep-seated belief that we are not enough, that we must constantly give in order to be worthy of love or acceptance. But this is a lie. You are already enough. You are already whole. You do not need to prove your worth to anyone by overextending yourself, by exhausting your energy, or by compromising your truth. You are deserving of respect, of space, and of peace simply because you exist. When you begin to set boundaries, you will notice a shift in your life. You will begin to feel more at ease with yourself, more grounded in your own sense of purpose and direction. You will begin to attract people who respect you, who honor your needs, and who value your presence. You will find yourself in relationships that are mutually nourishing, where giving and receiving flow in balance. You will no longer feel drained, depleted, or overwhelmed, for you will have created the sacred space to nurture your own soul. Boundaries, my dear friends, are not walls of separation. They are the walls of self-love, self-respect, and self-care. They are the space in which you can breathe, grow, and evolve into the fullest expression of who you are. They are the language of your soul, speaking clearly and decisively to the world. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of peace. I am worthy of my own presence. So I ask you now, what boundaries do you need to set in your life? What are the areas where you have been overextending yourself, where you have been giving without receiving, where you have been neglecting your own needs? What are the relationships, the situations, the environments that are draining your energy and preventing you from living in your truth? It is time, my friends, to take a stand for yourself. It is time to honor your soul. It is time to create the sacred space in which you can thrive. And as you do, you will find that the world around you begins to shift. You will no longer be a victim of circumstance. You will no longer feel helpless or overwhelmed. You will be the master of your own life, and in doing so, you will become a beacon of light for others to follow. Remember this, boundaries are not barriers, they are bridges. They are the lines that connect you to your highest self, to your truth, and to your deepest potential. They are the language of self-respect, spoken not in words, but in actions and choices and in the way you live your life. And when you speak this language with clarity and conviction, you will find that the world responds with the same love, respect, and peace that you have chosen to give yourself. You are worthy of your own love. You are worthy of your own respect. You are worthy of your own peace. And the time to honor yourself, to set your boundaries, is now. May you walk forward with the strength and courage to honor your truth, to honor your soul, and to embrace the beautiful, powerful, and divine being that you are. As you stand at the threshold of this new understanding, let us take a moment to reflect on the profound transformation that is occurring within you. In this very moment, you are shedding the old layers, the beliefs and fears that have held you hostage for far too long. You are unearthing the truth that has always resided within you, waiting patiently for you to remember you are not here to serve others at the expense of your own soul's peace. So many of us have lived in a state of fear, fearing the consequences of asserting our boundaries, believing that we would be abandoned, criticized, or misunderstood. We've been taught that self-respect is selfishness, that honoring our needs is a sign of weakness. But what if, instead of being weak, this is where your true power lies? What if honoring yourself, taking the time to nurture your spirit, your mind, your body, was the most powerful act of self-love and respect you could ever offer to the world? Imagine for a moment that your soul is a vast, expansive ocean. It is deep, boundless, and brimming with infinite potential. But imagine if that ocean had no shores, no boundaries. It would be constantly swayed by every passing current, every wave that came its way. It would be endlessly susceptible to the storms of life, with no protection, no foundation upon which to stand. But when you create boundaries, when you set the shorelines of your soul, you are allowing your ocean to be still, to find its own rhythm, to flow within the beauty of its own vastness. You give yourself the space to breathe, to reflect, to grow in a way that is aligned with your deepest essence. Boundaries allow you to be your truest self without fear of being swept away by the demands, expectations, and judgments of others. When you stand firm in your truth, when you honor your needs, you are not rejecting the world. You are simply choosing to honor the love and wisdom that resides within you. You are saying to yourself and to the world, I am worthy of my own care. I am worthy of my own peace. I am worthy of my own love. And when you honor yourself in this way, something miraculous happens. You begin to magnetize the same energy into your life. You start to attract people, situations, and opportunities that respect your boundaries, that honor your essence, and that support your growth. Your life begins to unfold in a way that feels natural, effortless, and aligned with your soul's purpose. You begin to experience relationships that are mutually nourishing, where love flows freely and without condition, where respect is a given, not something that needs to be earned. But it all begins with you. It all begins with your decision to stop waiting for the permission of others to live your truth. No one else can give you the validation, the peace, or the love that you seek. It can only come from within. The boundaries you set are not walls to keep the world out. They are doors to invite in only that which serves your highest good. They are the spaces in which you come alive, in which you connect with the deepest parts of yourself that have been waiting for you to remember. As you move forward in life, there will be times when you are faced with challenges, when people will test your boundaries, when life will ask you to stretch beyond your comfort zone. In those moments, remember this: you do not have to say yes to everything. You do not have to sacrifice your peace, your well-being, or your truth for the sake of others. Your boundaries are not rigid. They are flexible, fluid, and ever-evolving. They can bend, shift, and grow with you, but they must always remain rooted in the love and respect that you have for yourself. When you choose to honor your boundaries, you are not closing yourself off from the world. You are opening yourself to a deeper, more authentic connection with the world. You are teaching others how to honor your needs just as you honor theirs. You are creating a space where love, compassion, and understanding can flourish, free from the distractions, judgments, and insecurities that often cloud our relationships. And in this space, you find your true power. You realize that you are not a victim to the circumstances of your life, but the creator of your experience. You are no longer bound by the expectations of others, but free to live fully in alignment with your soul's truth. You become the master of your own destiny, no longer waiting for the world to define you, but instead defining the world around you with the strength of your love, your clarity, and your boundaries. This, my friends, is the path of true freedom. It is the path of self-respect. It is the path of honoring yourself, of giving yourself the space to become the fullest expression of your divine self. It is the path of saying, I am worthy of love, I am worthy of peace, I am worthy of my own presence. And as you walk this path, you will discover that the more you honor yourself, the more you are able to give to others. The more you set boundaries that protect your peace, the more you have to offer the world. Your energy becomes pure, radiant, and untainted by the noise of the world. You become a beacon of light for others to follow, a living example of what it means to live in alignment with your highest self. So, take this moment to breathe deeply, to center yourself, and to reflect on the boundaries you need to set in your life. What are the areas where you have been overextending yourself? What are the relationships or situations that are draining your energy and keeping you from fully embracing your truth? What are the boundaries that will allow you to live with greater peace, greater joy, and greater alignment with your divine purpose? It is time, my friends, to honor yourself. It is time to step into the fullness of your being, to create the space where you can thrive, and to embrace the love, respect, and peace that you so richly deserve. As you do, you will find that the world around you begins to shift. You will find that you no longer need to chase love, peace, or happiness. They will come to you naturally as a result of the boundaries you have set in place. Remember this: you are worthy of your own love. You are worthy of your own respect. You are worthy of your own peace. And when you honor these truths within yourself, the world will reflect them back to you in ways that you never thought possible. May you walk forward with the strength and courage to honor your truth, to honor your soul, and to embrace the beautiful, powerful, and divine being that you are. You are worthy of every good thing that life has to offer, and it begins with the simple yet profound act of setting boundaries that reflect your worth. As we continue this path, you will encounter moments that will test your resolve. Life, in its infinite wisdom, often presents us with opportunities disguised as challenges, asking us to stand firm in our truth. These tests are not obstacles. They are invitations inviting you to rise to the occasion, to hold your boundaries with grace and conviction. There will be moments when the people around you do not understand your boundaries. They may resist, they may challenge, or they may try to convince you that you are being too rigid, too self-centered, or too demanding. In these moments, remember this: your boundaries are not meant to be understood by everyone. They are meant to be felt deeply within the core of your being. The world may not always honor your boundaries, but that does not mean that they are not valid. The essence of a boundary is that it is personal, it is sacred, and it is rooted in your divine right to be at peace with yourself. You see, boundaries are not about controlling others. They are not about manipulation or punishment. They are about creating the space for your soul to breathe, to thrive, and to evolve. They are the invisible lines that protect your inner world, that safeguard your peace, your energy, and your purpose. When you set boundaries, you are not rejecting others. You are simply affirming that you have a right to exist in your truth, free from the distractions, expectations, and manipulations of the world. It is in these moments of resistance, when others push against your boundaries, that you are called to stand firm in your power. This is not an act of defiance, it is an act of self-respect. It is a recognition that your needs, your peace, and your well-being matter. And when you hold firm to your boundaries, you are not just honoring yourself, you are teaching others how to honor you as well. Boundaries also serve another profound purpose. They bring clarity into your relationships. When you set clear boundaries, you are communicating to the world exactly what you need, what you will accept, and what you will not. This clarity opens the door for deeper, more meaningful connections, because you are no longer engaging in relationships that drain your energy, that leave you feeling unseen, unheard, or unappreciated. Boundaries remove the ambiguity and allow both you and the other person to operate in a space of mutual respect, understanding, and trust. It is important to remember, however, that boundaries are not set once and for all. They are living, evolving expressions of your ongoing journey. As you grow, as you evolve, so too will your boundaries. What once felt right may no longer align with your truth, and that is perfectly okay. The act of setting and adjusting boundaries is an ongoing process of tuning into your deepest needs, your soul's desires, and your highest good. It is about being flexible and adaptable while never compromising your inner peace or your worth. Now, you may ask, what happens when you do not set boundaries? What happens when you allow others to overstep? When you do not speak your truth, or when you ignore the gentle whispers of your soul? The answer is simple. You begin to lose yourself. Slowly, gradually, over time, you become disconnected from your true essence. You may begin to feel depleted, overwhelmed, or resentful. You may find that you are constantly giving, but never receiving, that you are pouring from an empty cup. And when this happens, your soul begins to wither, and you lose sight of the peace, the joy, and the purpose that are meant to flow freely through you. But this does not have to be your reality. You do not have to live in a state of depletion. You do not have to live in a constant state of compromise or self-sacrifice. You have the power, the divine right, and the strength to reclaim your energy, your peace, and your truth. And it begins with the simple yet profound act of setting boundaries, of saying no when you need to, of walking away from situations that drain you, and of honoring the divine presence within you that seeks only peace, love, and joy. As you begin to honor your boundaries, something magical begins to unfold. You will notice that your energy becomes more vibrant, more focused, and more aligned with your soul's purpose. You will notice that your relationships become more authentic, more nourishing, and more fulfilling. And most importantly, you will notice that you begin to feel more at home with yourself, more at peace with your choices, and more aligned with the divine truth that resides within you. This is the gift of boundaries, the gift of reclaiming your power, your peace, and your divine essence. When you set boundaries, you are not rejecting the world. You are inviting the world to meet you at the level of your truth. You are inviting the world to recognize your worth, to honor your space, and to see you as you truly are a divine, worthy, and powerful being, deserving of love, respect, and peace. As we come to the close of this journey, I invite you to take a moment to reflect on the boundaries that you need to set in your life. What areas need more space? What relationships need clearer definitions? Where are you giving away too much of your energy, your time, or your love? What are the changes that you can make right now that will honor your soul and create the space for your highest self to emerge? Remember, setting boundaries is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of self-love. It is the foundation of a life lived in alignment with your truth. It is the key to unlocking your full potential, to stepping into your power, and to living the life that you were always meant to live. May you walk forward with courage, with clarity, and with the unwavering knowledge that you are worthy of every good thing that life has to offer. May your boundaries be strong, and may they be an expression of the love, respect, and peace that you hold within. And may you continue to honor yourself, your soul, and your divine purpose, knowing that you are enough, you are worthy, and you are loved just as you are. You are the creator of your life, you are the master of your boundaries, and you are the keeper of your peace. As we reach the final part of this transformative journey, let us reflect on everything that has been shared and understood. You have discovered the profound power that comes from setting boundaries, boundaries that protect your peace, that honor your worth, and that create the sacred space necessary for your soul to thrive. You have learned that boundaries are not barriers to others, but bridges that connect you more deeply with your highest self, allowing you to walk through life with clarity, strength, and divine purpose. The path to true freedom is not one of endless compromise or self-sacrifice. It is the path of reclaiming your divine right to exist in your fullest expression, free from the influence of external demands that threaten your inner peace. And while the road to setting boundaries can be challenging at times, especially when you fear the reactions of others, it is the most loving and empowering act you can make. It is the act of honoring your own soul, your own needs, and your own truth. Knowing that when you do this, you create the space for your life to unfold with ease, grace, and alignment. But now, I ask you, how will you walk forward? The knowledge you have gained in this moment is not meant to remain only as an idea. It is meant to be lived, breathed, and embodied. It is time for you to take the first steps toward honoring yourself in the most sacred way possible by setting boundaries that reflect your worth, your truth, and your divine right to peace. It is time for you to look at the areas of your life where you have been overextending yourself, where you have allowed others to take too much, where you have neglected your own needs for the sake of others. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what are the areas of my life that require more respect? Where do I need to draw the line and say, this is enough? Perhaps it is in your relationships, those that have drained you, taken from you without offering anything in return. Perhaps it is in your work where you have given tirelessly, but the balance of energy exchange has been off, leaving you feeling undervalued and exhausted. Perhaps it is within yourself, where you have allowed old fears, limiting beliefs, and self-doubt to overrun your thoughts, preventing you from living your fullest life. Whatever it is, know this: you have the power to change it. The moment you say no to something that no longer serves you, you are not only freeing yourself, you are creating space for something greater to enter. You are creating space for peace. You are creating space for love. You are creating space for your soul to expand, to rise, and to be seen in its fullest light. Remember, my friends, that boundaries are not a form of isolation. They are an invitation for others to meet you at the level of your truth. When you set your boundaries, you are teaching the world how to treat you, and you are teaching others how to honor their own needs as well. Boundaries create a ripple effect, encouraging those around you to live with more integrity, more authenticity, and more respect for themselves and others. So, as you move forward, embrace the power of saying no when necessary. Embrace the power of choosing your peace over pleasing others. Embrace the power of stepping into your worth, knowing that you are enough, that you are deserving, and that you are worthy of your own love, care, and attention. This is your time, the time to reclaim your soul, the time to honor your truth, the time to live with boundaries that allow your spirit to soar, unfettered by the expectations and demands of the world. You are not here to give endlessly without receiving. You are not here to be the martyr, to lose yourself in the service of others. You are here to live fully, to live joyously, and to live in alignment with the divine truth that resides within you. And so I ask you now, will you honor your boundaries? Will you stand tall in your worth and create the space necessary for your soul to thrive? Will you choose peace, respect, and love, both for yourself and for those you encounter on your journey? I know you will. You have everything you need to walk this path. And as you do, you will become the living example of what it means to live in self-respect, self-love, and self-honor. You will become a beacon of light for others to follow, reminder that boundaries are not walls to shut the world out, but doors to allow the world in only at the level of your highest truth. And in this space, you will discover the boundless freedom that comes with living in alignment with your divine essence. You will realize that you are not just surviving, you are thriving. You are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are the master of your own life. You are no longer afraid of setting boundaries because you understand that they are the language of self-respect, the language of self-love, and the language of freedom. So, as we come to the end of this journey, I leave you with this final thought. Your life is your own. It is a sacred, divine expression of who you are, and it is yours to shape, to nurture, and to protect. May you walk forward with the strength, the clarity, and the unwavering confidence that comes from knowing your worth, from setting boundaries, and from honoring your truth. You are worthy, you are enough, and you are loved just as you are. This is your time to rise. This is your time to shine. This is your time to live the life you were always meant to live. And so it is.